16 Marines have been arrested at Camp Pendleton on charges ranging from human smuggling to drug-related offenses. An additional 8 have been detained on the drug charges. Joining me now, NBC correspondent Courtney Kuby. Courtney, what more can you tell us?
So, as you mentioned, Chris, there's the 16 that were arrested just today, 8 more detained, and there were actually 2 that were arrested earlier this month. So we're talking about 24 Marines from the same division, actually from the same battalion, based at Camp Pendleton. The charges range from the first 2 who were arrested earlier this month were accused with human smuggling, and that was specifically moving migrants from inside the country. So not bringing them across the border from Mexico, but moving them inside the country.
Well, let me just stop you there for a second. Were they assigned to the Southwest Border Mission?
No.
Okay.
None of the Marines involved are assigned to the Southwest Border region. But keep in mind where they are. They're in Southern California, so they're not far from it. The 16 who were arrested today, what happened was they had them all in their formation, and they pulled the 16 out, and they were arrested right there by NCIS, which is the Naval Criminal Investigative Service. This was for a combination, some for human smuggling, some for drug charges, and some for a combination of both. And this all stems from the investigation from those first 2 who were arrested earlier this month in human smuggling. After the 16 were arrested today, then the barracks were tossed, and they found 8 more and detained them on possible drug charges as well. So, like I said, Chris, we're talking about 24 Marines from the same battalion, which is anywhere from around 800 Marines in total that have all been arrested now.
And all young guys, right? The youngest, the most least senior enlisted.
Yes, young men and potentially women here. We don't exactly know the breakdown of the gender, but they're what E2 to E4, which is a junior enlisted Marine, Chris. So most likely younger men and women.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC.
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I'm going to all praise and honors and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rakah Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, 144,000. And the 1/3 men, women, and children are watching, listening, and learning in that order. This is Shamaria Allah with the Great Millstone chapter out of Wisconsin. And I actually came across this article, and then I found this video on YouTube discussing the Marines that had just been recently, it says about 4 months ago. So I guess it was an older article, but I just came across it. But something made me want to go into it with Spirit. It's like, well, the Spirit wanted me to go into it and kind of bring out some things because, as you can see, we live in a country where, Trump, who is our president, we're supposedly building a wall. And the wall hasn't really been spoke about. And one of the brothers mentioned that in our group chat once I posted this article dealing with the Marines that had been arrested for human trafficking and drug charges, because you let this devil tell it, and devil being deceiver, let this devil tell it. They're building a wall to keep the drug dealers and the rapists and the human traffickers and et cetera, out of the country. But here we have it. We have Marines who's supposed to be protecting the country are involved in these same unmoral acts, and acts of wickedness. And so I want to grab Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 12, verse 10. It says, "Never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness." And yes, we roughly paraphrasing, we're not supposed to trust into Egypt, and that's what we're doing. We're going down. We're trusting in Egypt. We're trusting Egypt to do what's morally right, what's righteous, But they're not. They claim to be righteous. They claim to be, as they say, they call themselves what, quote unquote, the so-called white man, as in they're these people who are supposed to be looked at as being righteous and being right and doing the morally right things in the world, and protecting the country and going to other countries and protecting the weak and the poor. But really they're not. They're a part of the problem. And as you can see here with this news report, we have Marines who are supposed to be protecting this country and doing things that are morally right, like as I just said, yet they're being arrested for human trafficking and drug charges. And we know the elites and how they get down. We know the elites and how they get down, and how all this stuff is starting to come out with all these elites that are being exposed for human trafficking and other corruption that they are doing. Psalms 58 verse 3 says, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. So these people, man, they want to put themselves in a light as being the ones to go to for the right answers, the ones that's going to protect you from the evils of the world. But really, they're the evil of the world. They're the deceivers. They're the devils that the Bible speaks of. They're the wicked. And so again, as the scripture says, never trust thine enemy. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 12, verse 10. It says, never trust thine enemy, for as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. So we are not to trust in this country. We are not to trust in E, who we refer to as Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, for anything. Trusting Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, as far as the elect. And so just a quick hit. And with that being said, I want to say, all praise Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Kakadash, Rocket thumb to the hopeful elect. And hopefully this is a quick hit of edification for you brothers and sisters out there that are watching, listening. Until again, Shalom.